Okay, good evening and welcome to our Committee of Adjustment hearing for Monday, September 30th, 2024. Is there any disclosure of conflict of interest? Seeing none, motion to accept the agenda. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Massey, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the Committee of Adjustment hearing agenda of Monday, September the 30th, 2024.
Thank you. All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Ratify the minutes, Councillor Massey.
Mr. Mayor, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the Committee of Adjustment hearing minutes of February 26, 2024.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Moving on to minor variances, MV04 2024. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have two minor variances today. The two are pretty much the same, so I'll go through one in detail and then the other one will just be a repeat. The owner of both is Mr. Wendell Tays. Location, it has 18578 currently Diversion Road in Apple Hill. So right there, so you can see the Y with County Road 43 and Diversion Road. So they are right there just east of Valence Road. So it's currently a 3.4 acre property, which we're splitting in half. This is the property itself, so that's the entire 3.4 acres. So as you can see, there's already some development on the west and then all 3.4 acre properties on the east. Oop.
And finally, we have volume on it.
My scare.
Jump done. My apologies.
Am I supposed to?
Oh, no, here, over here. Okay.
She's messing with you.
Why?
Well, it's easy enough to do.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's my next slide. So that's the 3.4 acre property. So as you can see, the owner applied for a severance, so we actually split it exactly in half. This is one of the properties, so you'll see in my next slide, that changed from agricultural to rural in the official plan redesignation. So we may see a few on Diversion Road because Diversion Road was pretty much all wooded, but it was agricultural. It's all changed to rural. So we may see a few of these severances. So for this one, the owner just simply decided to split it in half. Both 1.7 acre property, they're all as per our zoning bylaw, but in this case, the frontage was not enough to accommodate for the 45 meters. So these two minor variances are for the reduced lot frontage on Diversion Road. So as you can see, all the gray area and like the Y was all changed from agricultural to rural. So all of these properties can now be severed as per official plan. So our zoning is still general agricultural, but because the official plan changed, we have to deem this property rural because of the official plan. So in our next updated zoning bylaw, this will all be rural. So the purpose for this application, as I mentioned, is simply for the reduction in lot frontage from the required 45 meters to 36.575 meters. So both are exactly the same frontage and the same acreage. This is the survey. So the counties already gave their approval for the severance. So one of the conditions was to do that minor variance to be approved by Committee of Adjustment. So it's a 8-point-something meter variance that the owner is asking for each property. The reason, if this would be a zoning amendment, we could do one and include both in the zoning amendment, but because minor variances are site-specific, when they're severed in half, the minor variance has to be done for both portions, unfortunately. So as I mentioned, the owner applied 1.7 acres each, a little relief for each retained and the severed portion. I explained the rural thing. So both are 1.7 acres, so they're big enough so as you can see in the site plan, like there's lots of room for dwellings, septic system, accessory buildings or whatnot. They're going to be nice rural properties, and all the surroundings are pretty much all rural residential properties as well. So it was deemed it was deemed to be passed by the county council for the severance. So this is what it looks like now. This is a white picture. You see both portions in there. So that's one of the entrances. There used to be one entrance in the middle of the lot. It's been condemned, and the owner applied for 2 other entrances. So the entrances have already been approved by Public Works Department from the township for both entrances, because Diversion Road is a municipal road, sorry. So these are the 2 entrances, as you can see. So both are gonna have a different civic number, and both are compliant with all of our bylaw. So the 4 tests, if it's compliant with the intent of the official plan. In this case, yes, it is, because it was changed to rural designation. Same thing for our zoning bylaw. It's agricultural, but it has to be deemed rural to be compliant with the OP, so it complies with the intent. Deemed suitable and desirable, so I'll change to my next slide right here. So as you can see, all the surrounding areas is pretty much some vacant wooded lots. And mostly on the west side, you've got some rural residential property, so it's exactly like the surroundings. And if it's deemed minor in nature, so in this case, the 8-meter difference is considered minor in nature, so that's why the owner applied for just a minor variance and not a zoning bylaw. So as a recommendation, it is the recommendation of the planning department that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application MV04 2024 as submitted. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councilor Memlo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we know, Jacob, but both those lots are bare of trees, are they not? Or is there some trees on those lots?
There are some trees, but they're not all wooded. They're pretty much ready to go. So the picture that you see there, so the sign that you see is pretty much at the end of one of the lots. So the other one is just beside. So there's not a whole lot of trees on these properties, but the intention is to keep what's there. So the entrances are made right in front of the empty vacant property. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions or comments?
I'll call the question 3 times. Does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? A second time in favor or against the application this evening? And a third and final time?
Okay, thank you. MV04. Go ahead.
That was MV04. The other one is MV05. So MV04 is for the retained portion. MV05 is for the severed portion. So it's exactly the same acreage, same lot frontage, so same minor variance. So yeah, it's just the other lot. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any discussion on that? Seeing none? But the people could be watching.
Does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? A second time, favor or against the application this evening, and a third and final time.
She's just crazy. There's nobody here. Okay, thank you, Jacob. Okay, there being no further business to discuss, the Committee of Adjustment hearing was adjourned at 6:39 p.m. 5:39 p.m. All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Moving on to the public meeting of planning for Monday, September 30th, 2024. Is there any disclosure of conflict of interest? Seeing none, accept the agenda. Councilor Martin.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accept the public meeting of planning agenda of Monday, September 30th, 2024.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. None opposed. Ratify the minutes, Councilor Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accept the minutes of the public meeting of planning of Monday, August 12, 2024.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Motion is carried. And moving on to Site Plan Development Agreement, Site Development Agreement Bylaw number 38-2024. Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I want to apologize. There's been a little mistake. It's actually site plan bylaw number 40-2024, and it may have not been sent before, but this is really the one for McEwen and not for the manor. So if you have additional questions, don't hesitate. But anyway, sorry, it's my fault. All right, so yeah, so this one here, the owner is for McEwen Agri Center. So the owner, Monsieur Jim McEwen. The location, 40 Catherine Street West in Maxville. So I know you all know where McEwen is, but it's right there. So southwest of Maxville. In this case here, it was already discussed with council. We did the official plan amendment and the zoning bylaw amendment. So that's the site plan to go on these properties. So the yellow line that you see there, it's that property, and it goes a little bit to the west as well in the trees, where we took some also outside of town to incorporate with this OP and zoning bylaw amendment. So that's the existing conditions. There's a few more domes on the west of these domes, and as part of this site plan application, there are also a few more domes that eventually are going to be built also west in those trees, which is within the protected woodlands. So whenever they apply for these domes, we'll have to see with the woodlands to see if it's okay, how much they cut and whatnot. But that's just future phases. It's not for right now. But that's exactly what it is now. So they have done some. Sorry, we have given them permission to go. So they already had the little culvert to go over that creek. So I know some of you probably seen that it's all gravel now. They're using the space for parking and storage of their trucks. So the only thing we told them that they could not do is to actually apply for the building permit. So that's going to be done tomorrow, and they're going to start with the first phase for the new construction. So you will see some movement. So that's what it is. So you see that blue portion there that was added onto the property, and it was all changed to, I'll go right there in the next few slides. So the official plan amendment 21. So we took some rural district land and some residential district land, and we changed it all to employment district to comply with the McEwen use. Same thing with our zoning bylaw. So we took some rural land, some R1 hold land, and we changed it all to general industrial special exception 2, which was already the exception for McEwen. So I'll go through it a little bit later, but the exception 2 basically is for reduced parking spaces, for the height for the mixing towers, and for the 70-meter setback to the residential properties on the east side. So that stays exactly the same, nothing changes. So the purpose for this application, it's all of that, but basically it's really to apply for this site plan that I'm going to go through right now. So it's for a site plan control development agreement bylaw, and to, again, as council already seen that, pretty much that application when we did the OP and the zoning to kind of expedite the process. We are presenting this at public meeting right now, and just later on at council meeting, if everything goes well, we would like to pass the bylaw so McEwen can start right away with construction, as time is a little bit of sensitive here, so we'd like to start as soon as possible. So that's the purpose for this application. So as you know, yes, we've changed the OP and the zoning. So the entrance for the property on Catherine Street, so in the corner there, 25 meters of frontage, that does not change. It's still going to be that same entrance. So basically, people, if you don't work at McEwen, you're not going to notice any difference. Maybe the notice you will realize is that there are less trucks on the street, because that's the purpose of this site plan. It's to have more thing on site there as compared to travel from one site to another with fertilizer and stuff like that. So the goal is all to reduce parking space and cost. So yeah, so the 34.3 hectares is the entire property that was changed. So this application here is for so what you're gonna see soon is the new seed storage warehouse. So a large building. They have one already in the southeast corner when you go into the property. It's going to be very similar to that. And the other thing you're going to see is another blending tower. So this is going to start as soon as possible. Eventually, there's going to be a new truck repair station to replace the existing one on Prince Street. So the truck repair station on Prince Street is going to be to become an actual wash bay for the trucks. So all the mechanic will be moved onto that new development there eventually. And as part of next phases, there's going to be some new storage domes, as I explained, on the west of the property. So there's a little site plan. So the pink dotted line you see in the middle is an existing creek. McEwen already had the application and the permit from South Nation to to cross that creek. So they already have that culvert there. There's actually two culverts to cross the creek. And there's actually another creek on the west side going through the Manor's property after, so that's all the same creek. So they did not need a permit for that because they're far away and they're not going to alter any of the creek. This here is pretty much all gravel, so the white area that you have. So we didn't ask for any stormwater management. There's going to be a lot of room for the water to go. There's not going to be any like the drain is not going to be affected by water accumulation or whatnot. So that the buildings that you see on the bottom are the new ones. Everything north of the drain is existing. So yeah, the proposed expansion is intended to allow for the storage and to prevent additional traffic on the road. So they're going to do another tower, a lot more storage. So if anything, we should see less trucks using the road. They're going to reduce costs by doing that because they won't have to travel from one plant to another. And we've discussed that before, but there's already so there's no additional setback required, although it's an industrial use, because there's already that 70-meter setback, which was developed with the McEwen use, and it's all according to the provincial D-series land use compatibility guidelines. So this basically says that according to how you're using your industrial property, there's a setback that you have to maintain to all sensitive land. And in this case, the sensitive land are the residential properties on the east. So I'll just go back to my zoning layer. So basically the green portion, the green line portion is McEwen. So there's a 70-meter setback from the property line to any development, so to any building. And then the township has placed, you see like just on the right side of that, there's like a gray area. This is also R1, but it's all on hold. So basically this was also put on hold to have additional buffer between McEwen and the residential dwelling. So the road that's there, I think it's Joseph that it's called. It's a road allowance. So technically it could not be developed because of McEwen, because of that setback. So there's a 70-meter from the line, and then there's the additional buffer that the township has put to all those dwellings. There's just one dwelling within that area at the end of, I don't remember what street, George Street. So there's one right at the end of George. It's the only house in that R1 hold, and then there's the 70-meter buffer. Pretty much all of these residential properties already have like some trees or stuff to protect from like visual and a noise barrier to McEwen. So there's most of the properties have that, and we had a few residents who asked the question, and they did not object to any of the development. So it seems they're all okay. As far as nuisance go, there should not be additional nuisance, I guess, for the village, only for these properties that are going to see some traffic back there. As I explained, it's already happening because they're parking trucks there already and stuff. So with the large storage building that's going to be on the east portion, most of the action is going to be on the west of that. So this is also going to protect from noise and light and etc. I did add a condition, and it was discussed with Mr. Metcalf at McEwen, just to allow for, if anything, we could ask for like for light protectors or for noise barriers or whatnot if something happens. But most of the residents are aware, and they're pretty much used to having McEwen right there too. So we shouldn't see, we do not anticipate any additional nuisance. And then, so yeah, that's for the 70-meter setback. So the other thing to reduce for the parking, so I just want to note that it's called, we're removing the requirement for parking, but I'm sure most of you have been to McEwen. There's parking like all over the place. It's just one big yard. So this is really just to remove parking from like because it's so large. If you follow our zoning bylaw, just because of the area of the storage, you would need like 300 parking space. And this makes zero sense because the goal for that is really just to have more room to store. So we've kept that provision there to remove the parking requirements, but it never has been an issue with McEwen, and it will never be, especially there. There's going to be even more space to park. So the trucks and people who work there and the customers, there's lots of room. And the increased maximum permitted height, so this is really for the towers. So basically the buildings are all within the zoning, but the towers of course have to be higher. So this was already in place for the property, it's not new. So this is a quick map of phase 1, I guess I should call it. So what you see there is the actual addition, the actual development. So on the top right corner is the new storage warehouse. So as you can see back behind there, there's no gravel. So the intention is to not go there with trucks for now. I think it remains gravel, and I forget, but anyway, for now, most of the action is going to be on the west side of that building. So for nuisance, this is a good news. And then the box you see in the middle is the fertilizing tower. And then there's the new mechanical garage that's going to come later. It's like a drive-through garage where trucks just go in and go out. So this is a site plan for phase 1. And this is for the entire project. So the red lines, I guess, that you see there are the anticipated truck route. So there's not going to be like roads per se. It's all going to be one big yard, pretty much like what's south of the drain right now. But this is, I guess, where they're gonna, like, for gravel, like more compaction. I'm not sure, but this is like they call it the truck routes. And then you see the domes on your top left corner, the new domes that are going to be installed on future phases. So this is what it's supposed to look like eventually. This is the existing condition. So I have explained the excess of the property. That's not going to change. Existing conditions, I just wanted to mention the drain running in the middle. So right now what you see, the field, I guess, is where the development will happen. So there's the wooded area where you're going to see some more domes eventually, and where the field is where it's pretty much all gravel right now. It's already ongoing. This is one of the proposed building is going to look like that building right there. So that's what they have right now for storage of fertilizer, and there's going to be another one larger than that, but still very similar to that. That's what they're going to have their permit issued for that tomorrow, and they're also going to have that permit tomorrow. So another tower, very similar to the one you see there. So this is what's there's going to be another one just to help with the ongoing work that's going right now. There's going to be another building, as I explained, the mechanical, and then the domes. Nuisance, I've explained, like the setbacks to residential use. It's all according to that guidelines there, MOECP. Proposed development not anticipated to have any adverse effect. They did a whole planning rationale, and it explained like very much in detail of why this is like that and what's being developed. And the whole purpose of that is really to reduce, of course, costs for them, but to reduce nuisance also for the neighboring properties. So they took the village and the neighboring properties in consideration a lot, and we don't anticipate any issues from there. And then, yeah, so that's the industrial. Water, sewage, stormwater. So we did not ask for stormwater management. We don't anticipate any changes in any of the drains in the nearby area, and all the services are going to be done on site. So whatever, if they like electricity and whatnot, it's all going to be from one existing building to the new one. So there's no additional connections or whatnot for this. And parking, I've explained the reduction in parking spaces. So in conclusion, proposed development has been designed conform with municipal and provincial guidelines along with site-specific constraints and criteria. The applicant submitted the required site plan as required for site plan control. Proposed development conforms to the required regulation and is compatible with the adjacent uses. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. I believe the first time we saw this project, July or August or something, or June, we had mentioned that maybe if McEwen would be good enough to plant trees at the east side? Remember, we had talked about yeah, at the end of the buffer there? Is that something that, I know you, because you had mentioned that once we get to the planning.
Yeah, I can mention it. I was on site. Most of the properties do have some trees already protecting from where it's going to happen. So I can ask for more trees. I discussed it quickly with Ron, and when I was there, we could. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't anticipate any issues if we leave it just like that. But it's council's call if I can ask if we want some planted or whatever, but then again, the trees that are planted are not going to be like they're just going to be small trees. So maybe in 20 years it'll create some kind of barrier, but there's already a barrier there, so it should not impact the neighbors from the dwellings. Why? I could ask for more trees to be planted for sure.
You could probably qualify for whatever township project or planning trees if they're ever willing to do it. I'm sure we can get their Raisin River to supply trees or something. Anyway, just talk to them. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to at least confirm that it would be an option if somebody requested it. I mean, right now, they don't really know exactly what they're going to be looking at, right? And so it could be that it's going to be fine, or it could be, because that's going to be one big white or wall.
Yes.
To look at, which is not very pleasing to the eye, but maybe that won't bother people, maybe it will. But the possibility of putting a row of trees there would certainly improve the aesthetics of it. So, I mean, at the very least, to have it as an option if residents come forward.
I think that was part of it, that if there was an issue,
Right.
Yeah.
we would deal with it.
What I can do is I can go on site and take some pictures maybe of what it looks like right now, looking at the dwellings. There's only one dwelling that we see from there's only one that's going to at the end of George Street. There.
Yes.
In their backyard, they're going to see what's happening. The other ones, I'll go take a picture. There's like the Joseph Street, the road allowance, and it's mostly treed. So I'll definitely go. I'll discuss it with them, and that's why I asked that I added that little condition in the site plan for future issues like that. So I'll discuss it with them, and I'll go definitely check on site more with them though. Yeah.
No, I think that's a great idea. One more question, if I may. It says here that it'll be serviced by private services. So does that mean no municipal water?
Mostly hydro. So there's going to be hydro to the tower. There's in the storage warehouse area. There's no water and there's no bathroom, so there's no septic required there. So basically, there's no service required. There's just hydro. So it's all going to be like from one of their plants to their new building. So there's no new service connection for any of the buildings.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Just to go back to the tree thing, maybe frame it as when they get into the new domes and they start taking down those trees, they could replace them on the east side.
There you go. Good idea, because they will have to, and they're aware because it's within woodlands. So whenever they want to destroy some woodlands, they'll have to get for Conservation Authority. So yes, that's actually a very good idea to put it like that. Yes, yeah.
Okay, good. Anything further? Seeing none?
Does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? Second time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? And a third and final time?
Thank
No
you.
one.
Nobody?
No one, no.
Nobody, okay. Yeah. Thanks, Jacob. Much appreciated. Okay, so there's no old business, no new business, no notice of motion. Adjournment, Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell, that there being no further business to discuss, the public meeting of planning was adjourned at 5:59 p.m.
Perfect. All those in favor? Motion is carried. All right. Okay?
Staff as well.
Yeah. What's John doing here? Huh? What's that? No. They're here for... All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting of council for Monday, September 30th, 2024. I got to ask everyone to please stand for the national anthem. Thank you, and welcome to all members of council, staff, the public here, and watching live at home. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none, accept the agenda. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Massey, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the agenda of the regular meeting of council on Monday, September the 30th, 2024.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, moving on to the adoption of the previous minutes. Councillor Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the minutes of the following meetings be adopted as circulated. Regular meeting of council minutes, Monday, September 9th, 2024.
Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, no delegations this evening. Moving on to Community Services Department, SDG Library Lease Agreement between SDG Counties and North Glengarry. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report CS 2024-25 SDG Library Lease Agreement between SDG Counties and North Glengarry, and that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry authorizes the Mayor and Chief Administrative Officer to enter into a 5-year SDG Library Lease Agreement retroactive to January 1st, 2024 between the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry and the Corporation of the Township of North Glengarry.
Okay, thank you. Welcome in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Councillor Manley indicated, this is a 5-year lease and it's retroactive back to the 1st of January. We worked together, all of SDG, to put together a lease contract that would be normalized across all the municipalities, and also to try to standardize the level of services offered to the libraries. So that said, we did take into consideration the different particularities for Maxville and the Alexandra locations, and those were included into the lease agreement. I'm pleased to report that for this year we will be getting $10.04 a square foot, and afterwards the price will be adjusted according to the cost of living.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. None opposed. Okay, moving on to staff report 2, Jean-Guy Levere plaque. Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report 2024-26, Jean-Guy Levere plaque, and that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry approves the plaque in honor of former road superintendent and community member Jean-Guy Levere at Mill Square.
Okay, thank you. Ann.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as council knows, on occasion, we do put up plaques in the community at different locations. One of the latest ones was the one for John Wensick that we put up in Maxville, the same as the bench that we put in honor of Mr. Lauzon, who so graciously donated a piece of property to the municipality to complete Mill Square. So this was a request from the community to erect this sign to a longtime community member and worker of the municipality. And this gentleman was highly involved in the illumination of the Christmas tree in Alexandria. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And I believe I'll just ask John Hope maybe to say, believe you spoke to the family?
Yes, I did. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My co-conspirator for CART regarding the tree lighting, Michelle Curry, and I are here. I did, after I met with Ann and Angel last week, reach out to Jean-Guy's son, Danielle, who I'm sure most of you are acquainted with. Dan was very moved that we had approached the Township Council with this idea. And I quote, "That was one of Dad's favorite events, and he looked forward to it every year." End quote. This would be a lasting tribute to a very popular individual in both the Francophone and Anglophone communities, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, John. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I think this would be a wonderful tribute to a wonderful man. He was well loved by everybody, and I think it was thanks to him, well, and yourself, John, and Mike, that this all started and carries on today. So I think it'd be a wonderful, wonderful tribute.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Massey.
Yeah, I didn't know Jean-Guy very well. I grew up beside him, and he was at home a lot with my dad and everything like that. And it's very fitting that we honor him too. So just be a plaque beside the tree or in that park there in Lauzon.
I'm going to refer to Ann because she is in charge of where it's going to be placed.
Okay.
Getting it all.
It's just because I do remember while talking to the Lauzon family when we acquired or they donated that park, that it was Mr. Lauzon that had planted that tree, Pierre's father. So, and it just fit because he wanted a tree for Christmas in the years to come. So if we put that right beside, that's okay. Just not name the tree Jean-Guy's honor, but the tree lighting event in Jean-Guy's favor. I'm good with that.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. As you can see, there's a sample of what the plaque would look like, and we're proposing to put it on a stake. Of course, we're going to cement the stake in, but it's also movable. We can dig it up and move it out as the tree grows.
Yeah, no,
Perfect.
Yeah, okay. So it's just a plaque in that.
That plaque there.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions or comments from members of council? All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. None opposed.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I told Dan LeBert that I let him know how we made out tonight, so I'll be in touch with him, and the whole family will be here. If all goes well, we'll hope to unveil it before we have the tree lighting this year, so it's going to be greatly appreciated.
That'd be great. Okay, thank you for your work on that. Thank you, Ann. You have my permission to go.
I don't know. I think you should stay.
Okay, moving on to the Planning, Building, and Bylaw Enforcement Department Site Development Plan that we just heard in our previous meeting. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Martin, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry adopt Site Development Plan Agreement Bylaw Number 40/2024 with McEwen Agri Center, Inc., owner of the lands described as Concession 17 Indian Lands, parts of 10 to 15 on Plan 32, Block F, and lots 4 to 7 being parts 1 to 5 on Reference Plan 14R 1585 and parts 1 to 3 on Reference Plan 14R 2661 in the geographic township of Kenyon, now in the township of North Glengarry, county of Glengarry, also known as 40 Catherine Street West, Maxville, and that bylaw 40/2024 be read a first, second, and third time and enacted in open council this 30th day of September 2024.
Thank you. I actually would like to hear you read it the second and third time.
Is that really the address?
Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do you want me to redo the whole presentation?
No,
No, you're good? Okay. So yeah, basically this is just to get the actual bylaw signed. So the presentation earlier was really just for public meeting of planning. This is the actual bylaw. So as you saw in your packages, there's the bylaw, and attached with the bylaw, there's what's called a site plan development agreement. So that's the document with all like the conditions where the bylaw has to be registered on the property, and there's a whole set of conditions onto there with fees and whatnot. And with that, we also attached the three site plans that I shown earlier in the presentation. So basically, that just gives us the right to do what's in the document, and it's just to get the bylaw signed. So tomorrow morning, it's being deemed final and binding, so McEwen can start with their permitting stages. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, that's great. Be good to see that going forward. Any discussion on it? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Thank you, Jacob. Public Works Department, Center Street Bridge Replacement Detailed Design. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report PW 2024-27, Center Street Bridge Replacement. Detailed design, and that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry authorizes the mayor and the CAO to enter into a contract for detailed design with HP Engineering for $28,641.40.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as council is fairly aware, so Centre Street Bridge is our last remaining bridge that really needs some work in Alexandria. So it's we got the last of the bridge inspection reports. We did some coring on the bridge, and the whole bridge is going to need to be replaced there. It's not like Bishop Street can't just be patched. So the good news is it's very similar to Dominion Street Bridge, and the environmental assessment process has changed a little bit, so we'll need to retread a few steps there, but it should be fairly quick and good to go. So we're recommending just negotiating a contract with HP Engineering instead of going out to a full tender, because the other two bridges were done by HP Engineering, and they are holding their rates from 2022. So it's exactly the same rates. I recommend that we go forward with them. They will complete the detailed design, and then we'd be ready with a plan to go ahead so we can tender this in the January sort of tendering season for construction.
Okay, thank you. And remind me, what was the final price on Dominion Street, that bridge? Not in the engineering, but in the, to replace it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it was, our budgeted amount was 1.3 million, and it looks like we're going to be under that right now. That includes all the contingencies for the houses that are really close to the bridge that we have to do some deep excavation work next to. So it's looking pretty good.
And will we be keeping the character of the bridge on Center Street?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Further questions or comments? No? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. So we have items under the consent agenda. Deputy Mayor Williams.
by myself, seconded by Councillor Massey, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receives the items from the consent agenda for information purposes only.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on those items? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. None opposed. Okay, now just matters of standing committees. We'll start with an update from the Raisin Region Conservation Authority.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last week I attended the Conservation Ontario Council meeting in Toronto, which regroups all the different conservation authority. It's quite interesting. We're very well timed and chaired. I missed the September 19th meeting, so I don't have any update on that. I believe they sent the memo over everything, but we have the new director, the manager, Alison McDonald's on board since early June, so the transition went very well and everybody's happy there, so yeah, business is good, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Maxwell Manor, Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At our AGM meeting, Patricia Cole was signed in as the new chair for the board of directors. Andrew Arkenstall, the vice chair. That took place last Thursday night. I missed it myself. So. The rebuild, Andrew, at our last meeting, Andrew Arkenstall, who's working on the building committee, announced that there's going to be a delay in the starting of the build instead of this fall, where they were hoping to get started on the parking lot. Because with the application for the approval of the loan from the ministry, what they wanted to see, when they sent in the application, they only sent a tender for stage 1. What they wanted to see was a tender for the entire project. So it's gone back to the ministry. They don't foresee any idea of it being pulled back as far as the financing, but it's going to be a delay, and they're hoping that May 2025 will be the new starting date for the build. And for the seniors program that the Manor does at the arena, I received lots of comments on the new sidewalk and parking lot in front of the arena, so everybody's very happy with that. So thank you very much. Ann and Tim for coordinating getting that done. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Just on the Maxwell Manor, we also had a meeting last week. Deputy Mayor Williams and I are on the fundraising committee. That delay will actually work out for the better. It'll save us a little bit of money by shortening the construction time. So at the end of the day, it's not a bad thing. It's just one of those hiccups when you're in this dealing with the ministries. So it's I'll say that very nicely. Glengarry Pioneer Museum, any update?
Yeah, they had a very good season with 2 new events this year with the Meet Me on Main Street that they had. It took place at the museum. It went very well. And the Honey Fair returned this year that they had canceled the year before. And they had a super large crowd for their fall festival. Over 600 people attended. And again, a very large crowd again for the reenactment of 1812. So they're very happy with the attendance. I guess the weather hit them right well on their weekend events this year. So this weekend was the last official weekend for the Pioneer Village, but they have a wedding planned for next Saturday, next weekend, and then they're closing it up, I guess, for the season. So very good season. Thank you.
Glengarry Archives, we did have a meeting, not too much on the agenda. Alan kind of told us a little bit about the Glengarry Ramblings tour that's happening in North Lancaster area. Yeah. And anything else, Mike, that you can recall? I know we talked about budget.
A little bit about budget, a little bit more about some acquisitions, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah. Okay. Arts, Culture, and Heritage, Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have a new blue plaque that will be unveiled in the near future. And that blue plaque will be going on the old, the former Glengarry News building. So it's a blue plaque that honors the founder of the Glengarry News. And Jean Vinecourt is the owner of that building now, and he is in favor of doing this. And so we will put ahead a motion. So we already have the blue plaque, it's ready to go. He's doing some modernization and renovations of that building. So we're going to wait until that's done, and then that blue plaque will go up. And you all have heard about the our designating of properties and that we're working on, and so that's moving forward. And yeah, I think good news that we have another 2 years or whatever, an additional 2 years or whatever to be working on that. So
That's great. Thank you. County Council, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just trying to look at this on the agenda on my phone. This was the September the 16th meeting. There wasn't a great deal on the agenda. It started with the annual staff recognition ceremony, which is always it's always great to recognize. They recognize, you know, the counties hang on to staff for years and years, and it's always good to recognize them. There was a resolution of support for blue box regulation for ineligible sources. So, you know, we sent a letter to the ministry saying, you know, look, you can't just pick up people's residential recycling and forget about institutional and what is it ICI. And so maybe, you know, we should think about passing the same resolution here locally at some point.
It was our resolution.
It was ours. Okay, never mind. We guess since we've already done that. There were just regular updates, bridge and road updates, and that's about it. Yeah, it was a fairly short meeting.
Okay, thank you. Friends of the Trails.
yeah, the Friends of the Trails, the Terry Fox Run used the trails in this last 2 weeks ago, I guess. Very successful Terry Fox Run walk. The trails have a new website that they have just launched, and so if you have a chance, you could check that out or whatever. And yeah, it wasn't at the last meeting, but they have the next meeting is next week, so I'll be there next week. So.
Okay, thank you. Community Development Committee, we had a meeting last week. We talked mostly about how we were going to start some plans to push the government for the fundings that we're applying for. And Ainsley did a little presentation on there's money left in Ann's budget through the fact that we don't have any Glengarry News ads right now. And we're going to do a short little segment like the counties did, and we're going to use that for when we go to Good Roads and all these places and meet with ministers. They'll be able to all of them be able to use their phone, and it'll pop up with a live video of what we're looking for and showing the strengths and weakness or the strengths of North Glengarry. So it's going to be interesting, and we'll bring it to council. Obviously before we go to print, but it's pretty exciting. So we're just working on some stuff like that. We're going to meet again with Stéphane Cédizin. We're going to invite him down again. Just like I said, we have a couple of applications going in the next little bit. So we just want to make sure that we can push for some funds on that. Rural Affairs, Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The last item was the information for newcomers to rural North Glengarry, just to point out some things that they might not know. Some advice, some history, and that's in the works right now.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, everyone. So notice of motion, next regular public meeting, Tuesday, October 15th, 2024, 6 p.m. here in council chambers. Question period. It's only you guys. So.
We're not the best entertainment.
Yeah. And were you guys here for something specific? We're curious because we don't get a lot of people that come to our meetings.
Would you like the honest answer?
Yeah, sure.
I really like Anne's job.
Oh, okay.
It would be a good opportunity to get to know council.
Oh, okay, great. Perfect. That's the honest answer. Okay, so no questions. We have closed session business. I will ask Councillor Cadell to pass the motion for us to go in camera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Massey. As this matter deals with personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, they may be discussed in closed session under Section 239 2B of the Ontario Municipal Act.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Motion is carried. We'll take a 2-minute break.